I just wanted to share with you a way that you can quickly color correct images in Photoshop. There are a number of ways that you can approach this sort of issue, but I just wanted to show you one of my quick fixes. Here's a photograph that I recently took, and it is feeling a little flat to me. Also, the colors are not quite what I remember them to be. So let's try to make some adjustments on this so we can improve the way the image looks. One of my favorite ways to make adjustments is to use the adjustment layers. They can be located by using your adjustment panel, or you can use the image adjustment pull down menu and you can access any of the adjustments this way. Now there are quite a few of these and we are not going to get into all of them right now, but I did want to just show you a way that we could kind of make this image pop a little bit more and make the colors a little bit more true to what they originally were. In order to do this, I'm going to make a curves adjustment. So I'm going to select the curves adjustment, which is going to apply the curve adjustment layer to my image, and any adjustment that I make to this layer is going to be non-destructive. So if I decide I do not want that, I can simply delete the layer, I can hide it, I can continue to manipulate it. So when you work with curves, a very standard way that you can kind of just improve the image is to make the standard S curve. So I've just added 2 points on the adjustment line, and the top point I brought up a little bit and the bottom point I brought down a little bit. This isn't going to do anything in regards to the colors, but it will give your image a little bit more depth and make it look less flat. What I really want to do here though is remove the overlying green color cast that my image has right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to improve the tones of this image and get rid of that kind of flat type of look. What we'll do here is we'll go ahead and I'm just going to click this little icon to reset the adjustments back to the default settings. And you'll notice in the property pane for the curves adjustment, we have this auto button. So if I click auto, it's going to do its best and auto adjust the colors and the tonal range, which is kind of similar to what I just did with the S curve. Let's reset that. And this time, when I click auto, prior to me clicking it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down my Option or Alt key. And when I click auto and do this, the auto color correction option dialog box is going to open. Now, this dialog box is going to allow us to adjust some of these settings. So by default, enhance brightness and contrast is checked, which means that it's going through and it's just auto adjusting the tonal range of my image, similar to what we see going on underneath. So it is an improvement, but not quite what I want. We can go ahead and we can use some of these other settings. So if I change this to enhance monochromatic contrast, what's going to happen is it's going to clip all of the channels identically. It preserves the overall color relationship, but it's going to make the highlights appear a little bit lighter and the shadows appear a little bit darker. If we switch this to enhance per channel contrast, you can see that all of a sudden we get a huge difference. So this is going through and it's maximizing the tonal range in each individual channel, and it produces a more dramatic sort of correction. So each channel is adjusted individually as opposed to going ahead and enhancing the channels simultaneously. This is getting a little bit closer to what I like, but not quite there yet. If we click Find Dark and Light Colors, this is going to find the average darkest and lightest pixels throughout the image and use them to maximize the contrast. And finally, if we go to Snap Neutral Midtones, this is an adjustment you can use on any of these algorithms right here. Photoshop is going to find the average neutral color of the image and then adjust the midtone values to make that color the neutral color throughout the image. So if we go back to enhance per channel contrast, this is what it looks like without snap neutral midtones. And when I click that, it is going to adjust a little bit further and it kind of warms the image up slightly. So you'll need to decide which of those settings are more true to what it is that you're looking for. I kind of like it with the snap neutral midtones, so I'm going to leave that. Because this is an adjustment layer, if I feel that this is too strong, I can adjust the opacity of this. So you could obviously remove it altogether, or you could just tone it down a little bit. So this is at full strength, but if I bring this down to maybe like a 70% or something like that, it isn't quite as strong. So I like that, and you can see that this is the adjustments that are being made per channel. You can go into the individual channels and further adjust those if you wanted to. So you really have the ability to go in here and fine tune any of these settings. I'll go back to the RGB composite. And then finally, I'm just going to go to my adjustments and I'm going to add, in addition to this curves adjustment, I'm going to add a color balance. And the color balance is a little bit more straightforward in that you can choose the tones that you want to affect. So midtones are chosen by default. And then if I wanted to add more blue or more red, I could dial that in specifically. So I'm going to add in a little bit more kind of warmth, a little bit more red and pink, and then add a little bit more blue right here as well. And I'll go into my highlights and let's just add a little bit more cyan in the highlights, a little bit more blue in the highlights, and that's just kind of making the background a little bit more blue. And finally in the shadows, we could do the same sort of thing. So you can adjust this as necessary. I actually feel like the shadow layer is probably pretty good. Maybe I'll just warm it up by adding a little bit more blue. And I think here I'll add just a touch more of cyan and a little bit more magenta like this. And again, if you feel like these are too dramatic or too strong, you can always come in here and just adjust the opacity or the strength of that adjustment. But I like both of these together. So this is what I had before, and I'm simply holding down my Option or Alt key on the eyeball to turn off all the other layers. And that's a toggle. So then I can continue to hold down Option or Alt and click on the eyeball again, and my adjustments come back. So you can see that really quickly and easily we were able to improve the tonal adjustments in this particular image. We were able to eliminate some of that yellow-green cast that is common when you're shooting underwater, and just kind of make these a little bit more true to what they originally were. So I hope you found that helpful, and happy photoshopping.